Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is a very cold Johannesburg. We're about to find out from Away They Joe what his weather is like in San Francisco. But I can tell you that it's very early here in Johannesburg, and it's extremely late in America, particularly on the West Coast, where Joe Sharabati is. Joe, it's good to see you, man. How are you doing?
I'm all right. It's 11 o'clock here. It's kind of cold, even though it's beginning to get summer. I know it's winter over there because we're above the equator. But yeah, it's been all right. Everything's been good here. How about you?
Yeah, you getting a little bit warmer. We're getting colder. We've got to get colder before we get hotter. We're okay. We're
Yeah.
trying to get those winners as we always do. And yeah, critically, of course, our good friend Nico is over the worst of his COVID, and he's on his way to recovery. Might take a week or so, or maybe a month or so, but he's still with us, which is good. And on that subject, he's given me a whole rundown of horses that he likes today. So we'll talk about those as we talk about your selections too.
Yeah, and the first race looks fun because it's a work riders race.
Yes, exactly. That looks very well. I can tell you what Nico likes there, but let's get straight into the betting. Joe, good to see you, man. And it's good that you
Yeah.
still, I know it's quite interesting. I mean, having known you for some time already, I see that your knowledge of South African racing has become exponential. You follow so much of it, rather R racing than Parks racing, I know. Um, but you're becoming, I mean, you love it, eh? The South African racing.
Oh yeah, it's fun. I think a lot of people here should get more involved because the pools are usually really good. So you could catch some, even if you get like some favorites in the pick four or the jackpot, you'll still pay pretty good if you get like a 7-1 in there or a 4-1 in there. So yeah, it pays pretty good. So that's why I like playing it a lot.
Well, it's good to have you showing interest. We're going to go to talk about sharing. I'm going to share a screen which has got the betting from soccershop.bet. We've also got to try and find a price boost today, and we'll do that. So the first race, first of all, an update is that number 3 Zulu Warcry is a late scratching early on this Thursday. So you can take Zulu Warcry out. As you mentioned, it is a work riders race. What did you like in the first?
I mean, I'm probably going to be boring and say pick a Lily. It just looks like it's just getting, improving a lot from what I've seen in the racing with her. I did like Zulu War Cry, but it got scratched, so that was that. There's an unraced one in here under Paul Peter, but it looks like the odds are. What do you have here? Music and lyric.
Yeah,
Yeah, about 10-1, but I'm not. I didn't like the pedigree on it at all.
yeah, and
Judd
it
Pot's
does.
okay, but
The
yeah,
betting seems to suggest that others are more fancied. So I think you might be right about the top two, particularly with Zulu Warcry coming out. I'll read what Nico sent me at 3 a.m. in the morning. So either his drugs had kicked in or they didn't kick in. I mean, the good drugs, of course, not the bad ones. But he said, race one, I like Scott Kenny's runner Raising a Storm to run a big race under Joe Gwingiza. Piccadilly may enjoy the step up in trip. And then he had Zulu Warcry for trifecta. So if that scratches, we know it is. It does look pretty straight, plain sailing in the first race. It is the first leg of the bipod. And to be honest with you, I think 1 and 7 will probably do the trick. So we won't have to dwell too much on that. Let's move on to race
yeah.
2. And here's the Roy Magna yard with number 7, Team Gold. Again, a late scratching here. Auntie Lizzie is out this morning. So race 2, number 3, Auntie Lizzie is a late scratching. I'll read what Nico likes. He says, oh, well, he asks the question of the punt. He says, can Team Gold give Bella Chica 6.5 kilograms and a beating? He says, I'm with Magna. In other words, he thinks that he can. I say yes on what I've seen thus far. So he's going for Team Gold, the 2, to beat the 4 Bella Chica. He said, Alec Laird, first time a well-bred, what should go down? So this race, again, relatively small field, Aunt Lizzie out. What did you think, Joe?
So I'm really surprised that Cecilia Tiger is up there, the second choice. When I looked at the pedigree on that one, Admiral Kitten, The 2-year-olds is a staying horse. It won on a mile and a 16th, so a little bit more than 2,000 meters. So I'm not sure why they're trying it on 1,000, but I'm guessing because it's Samunga Kamalo, and you know, I think he could probably run good on debut, maybe into the places, but for it being the second choice, I'm kind of surprised why that is.
Okay, well, that's interesting
Yeah,
pedigree-wise, Joe. Interesting pedigree-wise, because the mother is out of Strike Smartly, is also a horse that normally you would expect to be associated with longer distances. Of course, here in South Africa, they start them over short distances anyway, even if they're expecting them to run eventually over more ground. But what you're saying is he's got quite a stout pedigree, so maybe more to come with Sicilian Tiger over ground. So does that leave you with number 2, Team Gold, as your first choice?
I did like Bronco Blitz actually because it beat Team Gold before. I know it's coming off of a layoff, but I think that Bronco Blitz could probably. I mean, I guess you don't want to be drawn one at the Vaal, but I think Bronco Blitz does have a chance to beat Team Gold. Maybe Team Gold could turn the tables on him, but if I were to play a PA, I probably would just take Team Gold as a banker.
Okay, there you go. So Team Gold and Bronco Blitz, the 2 for Joe, and Nico is with Team Gold. He thinks that even with Gabriel Peterson taking the 4 kilograms off Bella Chica, that Team Gold will beat him. So that's the second race. Don't forget there that hasn't updated yet on Lizzie is scratched. Remember that we're recording this very early South African time and very late Joe's time in San Francisco. Right. Let's move on to the third race, which is now updated. And here we've got a relatively short price favorite. Cold Fact is at even money. Number 2, Bathing Beauty is scratched. What did you like here, Joe?
Another one that scratched is Social Image got scratched as well.
Okay, Social Image is scratched. Right. So that race is cut up quite badly again. It's not the biggest of fields, eh?
No, but I mean, I don't really see that much of an upset. Maybe on cue with Zuma taking a little bit more weight off. But I mean, if you were going to play another PA, or if you were to play the pick 6, I probably would banker Cold Fact again, or probably go another banker. In the PA, you got another banker. So then you could go wide in the rest of the races. But I think Cold Fact is going to be pretty hard to beat.
Okay, yes. I just need to warn everybody again. It's Thursday morning South African time. That's when my garden service decide to come with the largest weed eater ever known to man. So they're busy right outside my window. There's one thing about my grass, it's never going to grow very high because every Thursday morning they come here with their very loud weed eaters and lawnmowers. Yeah, I thought actually, I thought that the 1 on cue would be very hard to beat here. Sorry, Cold Fact would be very hard to beat here. Because there's a horse that had beat Ritalic quite comfortably. We like a little bit of that later on, but it's running some races. And I think that against this field, she's going to bounce back to her best. Let me quickly read what Nico said in this race. He said, can Cold Fact stop hanging? On cue is the value under the apprentice claim of young Mafanelo Zuma. Social Images run to Sheila, but we don't need that. That's gone. Gives a big chance as it gave potential champion 3 kilograms that day. So he's fine. I'm going to be as polite as I can by saying this much. Cold Fact has Gavin Lorena riding it. And the comment I wrote next to MH Zuma is, woe betide. Woe betide, because I've been watching him and he's got a lot to learn. And I'm not so sure that he's worth 4 kilograms. We shall see. Look, at some point in time, they are going to improve. Apprentices do that, but not for me. That's just my personal statement on that one. Right, let's go to share the screen again and go up to the 4th race. Now it starts to get interesting. So we're going to you're bankering Cold Fact, in the PAs.
In the PA, yeah. In the pick 6, I probably would put on cue as well.
Yeah, on cue 7-1. Well, I'm just gonna go for Cold Fact. If I'm gonna cover it, might be with something else, but it won't be with on cue. Right, race 4 is where we're going now. Power Ranger. This is an interesting runner. He's 9-10, and is
Mhm.
now odds on. But having said that, there is money for Grimaldi, who I think has got the blinkers on or off. Let me just check that. I think the blinkers are going on Grimaldi, and then a touch of money for Spartan Warrior from 10 to 1 into 7.5 to 1. There are no other changes at this stage. What did you like here? Because Nico had a fancy. I'll tell you what it is just now, but let's hear what you fancy, Joe.
Looking at the form, I liked Light Warrior because a lot of the ones that Light Warrior's races came, or a lot of the races that was with Light Warrior are winners too. So like Bold Jazz, Cleveland, uh, Blue Spark, I think won another race. I think all these ones, and plus it's running consistent right now, and I think the value is there for it being what, $7 or seven or ten
Yeah, well,
dollars over there. Yeah.
it was $7. It's now $10, as it were, 10 to 1. It doesn't matter whether you're playing dollars, Zimbabwean dollars, or US dollars, or South African rand, or pounds, or euro. The odds, of course, are 10 to 1. So whatever denomination you're putting on or amount is the same. But it opened up at 7 to 1 and it's eased out in 10 to 1. Now, what's interesting about this, Joe, is that you and Nico have found the same horse. I'll read what Nico's got here. He says, race 4, I think Light Warrior under Smunga Kamalo is ready to win its race. Big price. We have been for this countless times before. The regulars are all here. Track Commander has to benefit from being gelded. What about the well-bred Power Ranger? But I think it's too soon after the run, after run 1. Too soon after run 1. So he's saying that comes up too quickly. I mean, let's just have a quick look when that ran. And the date that Power Ranger made his debut was on the 22nd of May. So where are we now? We're on the 4th of June today, is it? Something like that.
2nd of June. Oh no, it's going to be the 3rd of June. Yeah.
It's in about half an hour. It's about to become the 3rd of June, like the rest of us. But it'll run on the 3rd of June. So interesting. Both of you finding Light Warrior in that race. For me, I hear Nico's concerns about Power Ranger running too quickly, but I still think he's the horse to beat. So I'm going to go in the bipots and the PAs, those two horses. I'm going to go number 10, Power Ranger is going to be my first choice, but then I'm definitely going to put in, because both Joe and Nico like number 6, Light Warrior. So that race will go those two. Happy to go those two in the PA, the 10 and the 6?
I like playing bigger tickets towards trying to get some cover. I do like Grimaldi, and I think it could probably run a place. Also, Spartan Warrior and Lady of the Flame. I think those two as well. So okay, I probably would take some of those. Yeah.
You're going to go a bit wider there. I know you like to play wide, and it works a couple of times for you. You got that huge win that one day at the Vaal when you went. The rank outsider won the race. You had it in 5 horses. Blue Mountain something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It was something like that. But I know that you like, yeah.
Interestingly enough, it did nothing for about 3 months, and then all of a sudden it won again at another big price. So it's obviously just waiting for you to put the money on it every time it wins.
It's kind of like micro.
Yeah. Right, let's go on to race 5. I'll tell you what Nico likes first. In race 5, he's got brand new Cadillac as a gin strike. That means he's got the Alamites back on number 3, brand new Cadillac. He says it did not wear any shoes in its first run for Baron Portis, and now it gets Muzieni up. Will be allowed to stride up front, and it could go well start to finish. So he likes this 8 to 1 shot, number 3, brand new Cadillac. However, he says lurking with just 49 kilograms at the bottom is Smiley River. Joe and I have already spoken about that off air. Jeff Saister rides and cannot be looked. Both offer tremendous value. He says he thinks the race is open and we shouldn't be fooled by the betting. Well, the betting has Zeal and Zest at 16 to 10, Set the Standard 33 to 10, Afraad 7 to 2, also 7 to 2, Master of Man, and then 8 to 1. He likes these two outsiders, 3 and 7. What does Joe Sharabati like?
I actually like Afraad. I mean, yeah, Zeal and Zest has been running well, and it's the betting is showing that, especially with Gavin Larina, but it has a lot of weight, 60 kilograms over some of these horses, and I think Afraad for the weight And with Samunga Kamalo again, he might have a good day tomorrow later on this afternoon. I really like that one, especially since that victory 2 races back was pretty impressive in the merit rating 80. So I probably would take that one. I mean, this one, yeah, maybe you want to go. You're either gonna, it's from what I've learned from you guys, you're either gonna take Zealand Zest as a banker and poke and hope, or you're either gonna go wide. So if you're gonna play it either way, I mean, there is some value in this race, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I think you actually summed it up pretty well, because with these exotics, you obviously can't go field in every leg. So you gotta make a decision whether it's right or wrong as to where the upset's going to come in these exotics, and where you believe it's going to come, then you go wide, you go field, or you look for outsiders. Alternatively, that means, of course, that you need to find other races to go either banker or shorter. I would agree with both of you that this race, although I must be honest, Zealand Zest is my first choice because he's very consistent, and he rode. Gavin Arena gave him a peach of a ride last time, and I think he'll run his race again. He's pretty consistent. It's just a question, as you say, of whether he can carry 60 kilograms and give something like 6 kilograms to a fraud. But I think he'll run his honest race, Zealand Zest, so he might be okay for the PA. But in terms of pick sixes, I would definitely look at some of your horses. Number 6 of Fraud, Nico's brand new Cadillac. I wrote here, ignore last run, needed it badly. We already heard it had no shoes on. And then our old chestnut, number 7, Smiley River, who does look well in again. I've written here, no weight. The blinkers and the tongue tie are off. So I think that they'll probably drop this out at the back of the field, and maybe hope that she runs on without those blinkers and tongue tie on, but we'll see. So perhaps at first glance, it looks like a straightforward race, but it isn't. And Joe and Nico feel the same. So that means we start having to look, if we're going to go wide in these other races, we've got to find somewhere to go short. This might be the race to go short. What did you like in race 6, where we have 2 scratchings, by the way? Number 2, Marengo, and number 10, Ramsey comes out. This is where Retallick runs, and you thought he might be effective here.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the form behind it, it's run against a lot of, well, there's some that are in the this card today, like Bella Chica, and she actually, or he, it's a she, right? Oh, it's a he. He actually ran against who's gonna be in Scottsville this weekend, Sheila, and ran 5th behind Sheila, and that was at Turfentine on I think it was a grade 2 race.
Yeah, grade 1.
So
it
maybe
the grade 1. It was a nursery. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, against the older horses and not carrying a lot of weight, I believe if you were to play something wide, you should definitely include that one, because that one could be a big upset. But I'm actually again, Samunga Kamalo, Mike DeCock, Lagertha. That's the one I like in that race. It's running consistent right now, and you look at all the other horses that are ran, Stormy Seas, Hear the Trumpet, and all these other ones. I think this one could run in the placings for sure. I don't know about winning, but if I were to take a value, it looks like I probably would put in that one. But I mean, it's going to be between the two, I think, the Ace of Spades and Lagertha. But I would say Retallick is probably going to be a lurker in this race.
Yeah, it's interesting. With this is a handicap. It's a 78 merit rated handicap. One of I spoke earlier on about our old chestnut Smiley River. I see number 8, Ula, is back. The thing is, as I said to you last time, she's dropped 28 merit points as Ula. I like the fact that Diego de Gavea takes over in the irons today, because he hasn't ridden her for a long time. But if you have a look at the jockey and horse combination, she's won 5 times this mare, and he's ridden her to 4 of those victories. So I think that she's going to feel Diego de Gavea on her back, and she's going to think, well, I like this guy. We've had success together. So although she is taking on a very competitive field, and they're colts, I'm going to sneak her into I'm not going to let her run loose, put it that way, particularly with the 28 merit points dropped down and Diego back on board. I'll tell you what Nico liked in the race. He says, race 6, Ace of Spades has to give Lagatha 3.5 kilograms. That's the telling factor for me. I'd rather go for the De Kock filly. So he, like you again, I don't know if you guys were communicating last night, but you seem to
No.
be thinking the same way. So he also likes Lagatha. He prefers Lagatha over Ace of Spades. He says, though, Neil, our chestnut Ula runs again, our old chestnut. We can never discount her, so bear her in mind. So in actual fact, all three of us see the race pretty similar, where we're leaning towards Lagatha, but saying perhaps a horse like Ritalik or Ula could be a surprise element.
Well, I actually, real quick, I did have one that I think that is also could run a sneaky race is Bar Aglo. I'd never seen the combination of Lyle Hewitson and Candice Dawson, but when I look at the run again back in February of last year on the Vaal Classic track, and ended up winning by about a length and a quarter. Going down in the merit ratings from what I've seen, this one could probably run a sneaky race too.
Yeah, I mean, I studied this. I spent quite a bit of time on this race. There's absolutely nothing between horses like Touch of Fate and Varaglow and Country Squire. I thought it was very well handicapped, but I also thought Ula was, if you look at the Lagatha run behind Glotoria, which was on the 13th of May, Lagatha carried 59. Today she's going to carry 58 and a half. Sorry, she's going to carry 58. So she's down 1 kilogram, and Ula was carrying 59.5 kilograms. Now she is down 3 kilograms. So she's 2 kilograms better off actually with Lagatha, which brings them pretty close together. I mean, you might argue that Lagatha, is being a daughter of Frankel, is still improving, and she's the younger filly. And that might be the case, but I think this race, potential problems here, could be potential problems. So, but again, I think that we all agree, all three of us prefer Lagatha to Ace of Spades. So we're either going to be right or wrong there. Okay, let's move on to race 7. I wouldn't leave Varaglow out, by the way, as Joe says. But now we're looking for bankers, really, aren't we? Because we're starting to need to go fairly short. And we're moving on to race 7. Okay, off you go. You go first. What did you like in race 7, Joe?
I'm boring. I'm going to pick Bold Ransom. It's just running way too consistent right now, and Warren Kennedy and Paul Peter have been a really good combination over there. I would probably put that as a banker if you were to go to the last leg, because the last leg is an absolute shit show. Excuse my French.
No, I think you're right. I mean, it's a nightmare. I'm convinced of one thing. Either you are Nico in disguise, or you've been communicating. I'll tell you why, because this is what I got from Nico. Race 7, Bold Ransom is the horse to beat on its computer form sprint run. 2 runs over the course and distance for 2 wins and unbeaten at the course. This is my best bet. And it sounded like you were very bullish. You wanted a banker as well. So I'm not even going to take you boys on. You both like race 7, number 2, Bold Ransom. So I'm guessing that's probably going to be our price boost today. And we'll ask soccershop.bet to give us a nice price and boost the 18 to 10 price. So for you, Bold Ransom, the banker.
Okay, Bold Ransom, the banker in the pick 6, but in the PA, I do like Valerian King, just because it had a big winning streak before at the Vaal, and it's coming back to the Vaal, and it didn't do well at Turfentine. So obviously it loves the Vaal. So for a 5-to-1 shot, I think you have some value there. If you were to play a pick 6 and you want to boil over a somewhat small one with Muzieni up, I think Valerian King is another one you should probably consider.
Okay, so Bold Ransom, first choice for you, Valerian King, the danger in that race. Let's move on to the next race, and we've got the last one, which, to quote Joe Sharabati, is a shit show. I like that. you're speaking from the pocket and the hip, no doubt about that. Let's quickly have a look at so at this very early stage or late stage, if you're on the west coast of America and it isn't even Thursday yet, we haven't got confirmation of the reserve runners going out, so that might happen later on. It's a very open race. So this is the one race I think where you do want to go field. Having said that, Nico's got his opinion. What does Joe like?
So I was hoping that Big City Girl was going to be in, but it looks like they're not. So what I've seen is 14 Three Peaks is scratched and the reserve runners aren't going in. So we're down to 16, it looks like, or 15, 16 or 15. So this is the race where you want to get a result. And if you were to look at the form, Dubarry Princess, I think, is Dubai Princess running the favorite, the third favorite. So I actually like a little bit of Now You See Me. I think with Chase Moljan, looks like is going to be a good runner, especially running second at the Vaal the last time out, and has some decent form. There is a roughie that I do like, and that is Roa, just because I think it just needed the one run after the maiden. Even though it lost by about 7.5 lengths, its maiden win was about 2.7. So it's gonna try the Vaal for the first time, and sometimes you don't know how these horses are gonna handle the track. And it could run a sneaky race, even though it is coming off of a layoff. But I think there is a value over there with Paul Peter, and he could really have a good day. Especially the way that this field is set up it's an absolute nightmare, like what you said.
I agree with it. It's very open. Interesting that there's been a touch of money for number 8 Roha, 25-1 into 20-1 on soccershop.bet, but also there's been money for the other Paul Peter, and Paul Peter's got a few runners, but the stable companion number 6, Let There Be Light, is shortened from 25-1 to 16-1 with Warren Kennedy on board. So punters perhaps should take cognizance of that. I think you hit the nail on the head when you first began, and it's a real open race. Not to say that Bebop can't win or Clarice can't win. I give Clarice a bit of a sneak, but all these horses, excuse me, are drifting. At least the ones that were 5-1, because I think 5-1 is just too short in this kind of race. So Bebop's gone from 5-1 to 6-1. Dubai Princess has gone from 5-1 out to 7-1. I think that's more of a fair indication of the open nature of this race. I think it is very, very wide. Let's read what Nico's got, and then I'll tell you what my roughie is in the race. But Nico says race 8. Yeah, he's already saying 3, 4, or 5 here in a tricky one to close the meeting. First choice is Dubai Princess, but chances to Letitia's Angel, Clarice, who looks like coming back now, and the other de Kock horse, I Dream of Jeannie, who now that she's won has got a tail up. But he ends off with a 5-letter word that says tough. And I think that's what we all agree. You said a shit show. Nico said tough. And I'm going for a 5-letter word saying field. I think you've got to go very wide here. And that would include, in the PA, I would put in quite a few here. I believe anything can happen here.
Yeah, and plus you get the extra place. So
yes.
So I think that if you want to take a shot at a roughie that you really like, you probably should do it this race, obviously, because it's the bigger field. Plus you get the fourth dividend. So
yeah, I had a bit of a roughie here that I've got to actually page down to find. That's how big an outsider it is. I like the two, interesting enough, I like these two 25-1 shots at the bottom. Mamaquera a little bit, but this one here, Strada Statali, which I think is named after a highway in Italy. It won't be the first highway that I'm driving down, leaving a race course, having lost money. So maybe there's an omen there. Strada Statali, for me, I thought it's a big price at 25-1. And Namaquera. The reason for that is they're both 4-year-olds, and they're racing a lot against 3-year-olds. So, this time of the year, they're starting to head up towards 5, but Mama is a daughter of Quarari, who on a line through Decadent Lady works out pretty well. And the reason I like Strada Statali, just spend because that is my main roughie in the race, is a number of reasons, actually. She's gone off form a little bit, no doubt about that. But if I go back to some of her earlier races, she was running in the Yellowwood handicap, third to Saragon, and she's been running in fillies and mares 95 rated, 86, 86, and then recently a fillies and mares 91, 91, 90. So she's been racing against fillies of 91, 90, and here she's taking on a handicap 82 level. So she has dropped down in the company she's keeping, and with Muzi Yerni riding, I just thought, and he's riding very well at the moment. She's dropped down, how many points is it? Let's have a quick look. She's dropped down 11 merit rated points in a very open race. I just looked for a couple of roughies there right at the bottom. But bottom line, it's wide open. Your first choice, though, would be Now You See Me.
My first choice would be actually, I probably would take Roja, just because it's just, I really, I mean, you got to go with what you like, and I really like that one. You know, interestingly enough, Strada Statali ran against in a black type race against Nico's favorite, Express from the US. So yes, there's that.
Well, exactly. I mean, and you're 100% right. That was a race. The GRD stands for the Grand Heritage, and you're 100% right, Joe. I mean, you know, what would Express from the US do to this field? It'd blow them away. He'd win on the bit. So that's exactly my point. She's been running against much better company, I believe. Before we close out, I want to go also to Lyle. So all of a sudden today we've got, instead of me just flying solo, we've got many people with opinions. I'll tell you Lyle's quickly because Lyle came through last night and said, do you need my help on Thursday's card? I said, well, actually, I've got Away They Joe all the way from San Francisco, but let me know what you like. So we've heard Nico's, we've heard Joe's. Lyle fancied a few value plays. He liked race 2 Bella Chica. He liked race 7 Orivar. I think these are value plays, not necessarily to win. And race 8 Dubawi Princess, which is the same horse that Nico likes. Not that there's much value there, I don't think. Although certainly at 5-1 there wasn't. It's now 7-1. And then he's got maybe race 4, number 10 as a banker. What horse is that? Because he didn't tell me what it's called. Race 4.
Power Ranger.
Power Ranger.
Power Ranger.
Yeah, Power Ranger. Well, I can tell you that I've got a lot of young kids in this house, and that's all they do is watch Power Rangers all the time. Power Ranger.
So that's going to be your favorite horse if it wins. You're going to be buying a lot more Power Rangers.
Maybe I should take the profit from that horse I backed in the last race at 50-1 yesterday. They ran second. I got 10-1 a place on Clinton Binder's horse. Maybe I should take the profit and put it on Power Ranger and try and pay for at least 1 month of their education.
Well, you know, this card is actually, there's only one route race or there's only one around the bend in this card, and that's race number 5. Everything else looks like it's sprints
up the straight,
or on the straight. Yeah. So it is going to be a really fun card, I think, even though there is some short price. Well, actually, almost the entire card, there's a short price favorite till the end. So I think that there is potential to make money if you could beat those favorites. It's gonna be a good day over at the Vaal if you're playing.
Joe, thanks very much for your time. The $1 million question that my South African audience will be asking is, it is now 1:45 your time. When do you sleep?
I actually took a nap before I did this.
Okay,
so
good.
I sleep during the day because of my hours are so weird at the casino. So I'm the opposite. I'm nocturnal. So it'll be night when I wake up, and then it will be day, where it's day and then it's night.
Absolutely, which suits us in South Africa perfectly. I'm not so sure it suits you in the States, but those are your hours, as you say. Joe, thanks very much. Just to remind folks, they can follow you on Twitter at Away They Joe, not as Away They Go, at Away They Joe, eh?
Yeah, you can give me a follow there, and
And
Yeah,
your
I've been,
podcast. Tell us a bit about your
yeah,
podcast.
yeah, the podcast is, we do have a lot of international guests. So we basically, it's just a story about how everybody got into the industry. Like Neil actually has one from last year. So
Yeah.
if you guys want to listen to that, or even Nico's been on, and we're getting a lot of good, like a lot of great guests from South Africa as well. So it's a show to showcase everybody's involvement in the industry, and I think that it's a really fun thing to hear that, you know, we're all in this melting pot of the sport that we love. So that's the only reason why I did it. It's been a year now, and I can't believe it. I almost have 100 shows. So yeah, if you want to check it out, it's on anchor.fm/andaway Joe.
Wonderful. We look forward to it, matey. And yeah, who knows? Maybe try and give Bob Baffert a call after the second test came back positive. We'll see what he's got to say. But on that subject, you got the Belmont on the weekend. Should be a big another big race. The Belmont's always the last leg of the Triple Crown, of course. No horse going for the Triple Crown, but it should be a big race.
Yeah, it's a big race, but I mean the field is kind of bad. I mean, it's not a big field, and there are some short, you know, you do have like the Dolphins horse in there, Essential Quality, and I mean, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting race, that's for sure. I'm probably going to stay away from it though.
Okay, well, I can tell you what I know about that is Essential Quality. We got a highly respected individual here in South Africa by the name of Charles Vaal, and he keeps a strong eye on all these big international classics from a pedigree point of view as much as anything else. And I remember him telling me that what's the name? Elusive Quality? No, what's it called? Essential Quality.
Essential Quality.
Essential Quality in the Kentucky Derby raced so wide that I think when trackers worked it out, that it ran like 5.5 lengths further than anything else. So that stuck in my mind. So I'm just going to put my head down and have a go at Essential Quality, because if it stays anything close to the rail, it'll win.
Yeah, plus it has the longer distance, and we saw that it was closing. And you know, you were up against the drugged horse, so you probably could have won.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there. All I can say is the ointment I put on some of my flesh over the years, I should have been locked away with just ointment you put on. But anyway, we can go down that avenue. Joe, thanks very much. Joe Sharabanti, all the way from San Francisco. We thank him for his time. We thank Nico for his input. We thank Lyle as well. And we thank you for watching. Our price boost, folks, is going to be Bold Ransom, because Joe likes that, Nico likes that, and we think that that's probably a potential banker on this Vaal card today. Have a great day's racing.